It's episode 464, and tonight I am going to be your host, and we will be delving deep into the mind buggery of Total Recall. Welcome to the Generation X Wing podcast, your modern look at a retro lifestyle. Tonight I am your host, and we are off to a world where they can steal your mind, erase your memory, and give you another identity. But the most dangerous thing that can happen to you is Total Recall. That's right, it's a 1990 science fiction action movie, Total Recall. But as always, I'm not doing it alone. So let me introduce my co-host, starting with...
Jamie Pale Rider.
As well as...
Steve Hosenose Lewis.
And finally, last but not least...
Rob Williams.
Welcome, boys. I
feel like I
haven't spoken to you in so long.
I love that intro. That was primo. That was great.
That was good. That was very
Are we pumped?
I want to end the episode and just go out on high right now. This is great.
That's it. That's the way we should do this.
But this is such a good movie. I want to talk about this all night.
Oh, see, we've never heard that before. This is going to be a good night. I can feel it. So saying that, let's go around. So I'm going to start with Jamie. Jamie, when was the first time you watched this?
I was way too young when this movie first came out on VHS. My dad, I think I've referenced this before. My dad was a giant sci-fi nerd. So I got to see all of those movies way too young. Mm-hmm. This one sticks out in my mind because the scene at the very start, the dream sequence when him and Melina are on Mars and then they fall, or like, I guess he falls and smashes his baseplate open and his eyes start bugging out.
You never forget that.
The absolute shit out of me as a kid.
They did an amazing job with this movie as far as all the effects. That's what got me so excited about doing it. But anyway, we'll get back to it. We'll get into it. Steve, number 2. When was the first time you watched this movie?
I think I'm with Jamie, definitely on the VHS at home. There's no way I would have saw this in the theater.
No, for sure. Rob, what about you? When was the first time you saw this movie?
I don't remember when, but I'm pretty sure I saw it on the Super Channel back in 1990. I graduated in 90, so I'm assuming I watched a lot of Super Channel back then. I'm thinking this is what came on at the time. So
in 1990 when it came out, sort of thing?
Well, probably 91 or 92, I guess. Super Channel is what, a year after when it comes in the theater or something. Mm-hmm. But I'm feeling that's where I saw this, and I've seen it so many times since.
Yeah, it's. I'm just going to pause while the helicopters go overhead.
I was just going to say what.
It's a classic, man. It's a classic, and I love it. So basically, this is directed by Paul Verhoeven, not Vanderhoven, Verhoeven, who's from RoboCop history. Also, he did Basic Instinct, he did Showgirls, he did Starship Troopers, Hollow Man. So he's done some pretty fast-paced action movies. Is known for it as well. The cool thing though is the screenplay was done with Ronald Shusett and Dan O'Bannon, and Dan O'Bannon was responsible for Alien with this dude as well. So these two wrote the Alien screenplay. He also did Blue Thunder, Return of the Living Dead, which he wrote and directed, which was kind of cool.
The name of the story, it had a cool name too. It was based on a short story or something like that?
Correct, yeah. It's based on a short story called We Can Remember It's For You Wholesale. And that's what it was called. But that was, that's how it was kicked off. I think I've got it written down here. It's written by Philip K. Dick. So it was written by a dick. But it was something that stood out for him. Starring
Blade Runner.
Right. So we've got a lot of people involved here who know how to do these action-packed sci-fi movies, which I think is why it's so good. And then let's get to the cast. Now, obviously, there's ones in there we know so well and ones that we don't. But I'm going to read them all out. We've got Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've got Rachel Tickerton. We've got Sharon Stone, Ronnie Cox, Michael Ironside, Marshall Bell, Michael Champion, who I really enjoyed. We'll get back to that later. And Mel Johnson Jr. as Benny. You never trust a Benny, right? Never trust a Benny.
He has 4 kids to feed, sir.
5 to start off with 5. Yeah. The score was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, again, which another classic composer who has done many, many things that we enjoy. Budget. Let's get to budget real quick. 48. This is what I got written down here. 48 to 80 million budget. That's a big gap. So I don't know what the budget was. And I think the prime reason for that is that they obviously had producers, but Arnie was the kind of executive producer uncredited. And I think that's why they had the money to do the movie. And we can get into that. I will get into that a little bit because I was fascinated with it all. The story of how it got made is so cool. But in the box office, it made. Can you want to take a guess? Did anyone do any research first of all? And if you did, don't raise your hand.
No.
Nope.
So we had a up to 80 million budget. What do you think it made in the box office?
I'm gonna say 350.
Okay, Jamie.
I was going to say 400.
Rob.
I already know. Sorry, so I'll be.
So,
They can say
yeah,
351.
you guys have overreached. You probably enjoyed it too much. It was $261.4 million at the box office.
Still a good return.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear the synopsis out there? Do we want to do
Yes.
the synopsis of the movie?
Do I ever?
Absolutely.
Okay. If the intro is good, this is my synopsis. I didn't just copy it off Wikipedia. So basically, this movie is about Doug Quaid, the average Joe working man, who for some reason has a love for Mars. One day he decides to get a memory implanted into his brain so he can experience Mars without actually going there, much to everyone's disapproval and displeasure, including his wife. Turns out he's been there before and had quite an effect on the place. Or has he? Dun, dun, dun. So that's my synopsis of the movie without getting into too much of it. Because it's crazy. Let's be honest. So, Rob, what were your first thoughts on watching this again? Not for the first time for once, but for again, what were your first thoughts on watching it now?
I was concerned that it wouldn't hold up in certain areas, like graphics wise, but and the storyline. I was curious to see what I would remember, and I'm happy to say that there's a lot of stuff I didn't remember, and so it still felt a little bit fresh when I was rewatching it. There's points where like, oh yeah, I remember this, and there's parts like I totally don't remember this, and I think throughout the whole thing, as I was watching it, I think for the most part, I've seen the TV version because there was a lot of swearing and a lot of stuff that I don't remember as a 19, 20 something year old kid. So
right. Yeah. It's very graphic without going too over the top. If I can say that. I mean, it was pretty graphic, but yeah. Steve, what about you? How did it hold up for you?
Great. I'm a big fan of this movie. I think I watched it even not that long ago, like maybe 6 months ago. So this is
really?
Yeah, it's also one of these ones like Shawshank for me. If it's on TV, I'll stop. Watch it, no matter where it is. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're
so,
like, oh, it's on. I've got to watch it.
Yeah, this is where the eyes bulge out. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie, what about you? How did it hold up for you?
It held up perfectly. I mean, it's definitely one of those movies that I've seen several times, like enough to. I probably didn't need to watch it for the podcast, like for now, but I did because it's awesome. Yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like I didn't need to watch it again for the podcast because I felt I knew it well. But there's a reason I went out and bought it on Blu-ray, and that's so we can watch it again. I did enjoy watching it again. I think I'll always enjoy watching it. It's like you say, it's one of those movies. I think you always enjoy watching it. You don't need to skip to the end. You actually want to see if you've missed something ever before. It's cool. But I think there's a reason for that, and I think it's just the way that it was made. So I'm going to do a quick recap on the history of the making of it. I'll be as quick as I can so we can get into all our glorious normal stuff and discuss it. But I don't know if you guys know, so I'm just going to... I had so much fun researching into this thing and watching all the behind-the-scenes stuff and not having to just go to the internet to find it out, right? It's cool looking through all your old DVDs and videos for these things. So this one, as I think it was you, Rob, that mentioned it was based on a short story. So the history of this story started off in 1974. When Shusett actually purchased the adaptation rights to that science fiction novel we were talking about, or 23-page story as it was at that time. He purchased the wholesale on that for $1,000. So he came across it reading a magazine which was of fantasy and science fiction, and it was in 1966 that he came across it originally, and it stuck with him from then. So renaming it Total Recall, he worked with Dan O'Bannon to write a script to change it from the 23 pages that they had in the short story. And by 1982, they were actually on track to getting something good. In 1984, the script went to David Cronenberg, but nobody at this time could establish what they wanted for the third act. The third act wasn't agreed upon. The third act wasn't what we know in the movie at this point, and no one could really decide on it. funny thing was, and we can get into some, the typical quiz of who do you think, or if you know about it. But at this time, Richard Dreyfuss was in lead for the lead role to play Quaid. So Richard Dreyfuss as Quaid, I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but it wouldn't be my first choice.
Yep.
A different tone to the movie for sure.
Very different.
100%, right? 100%. I mean, I don't know if anything they'd seen at that point would have been Jaws, maybe Close Encounters. I'm not sure.
The complete opposite of an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But they also went through some other choices while they were still trying to fathom out what they were going to do for this third act, which include William Hurt, Christopher Reeve, Jeff Bridges, and Harrison Ford. All of these guys were considered for the roles, which is not a bad choice when you think about it. But Arnold had shown interest in this script. He'd read it and was really excited about it, but no one thought he would be a good fit for this role.
I can see Harrison Ford, but then it sounds like it'd be another, what do you call it? What's that sci-fi movie he did again? Help me out.
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner.
It sounds like it'd be more of a Blade Runner than anything
Which
else.
is why they were probably considering, right? Because they were all
Yeah.
involved in some point. And
Another Philip K. Dick story that he would be into.
Right. So that's kind of what happens, I guess. So at this point, they still hadn't really figured it out. But the production company finally agreed to do the Air on Mars ending, as we know. And then they ended up hiring Bruce Beresford, who also supported the end of it to be the director. And they cast, believe it or not, Patrick Swayze as Quaid. So at this point, we got our third director, and we got Patrick Swayze as the lead. And they started production in Australia. So they went to Australia to start production. They started building sets. They started building everything else. And then they filed for bankruptcy. So the production company actually filed for bankruptcy at this point after accruing $8 million in pre-production costs.
Damn you,
Good
Patrick
God.
Swayze.
So, right? So at this point, Arnie hears of this, and Arnie's made some movies by now, right? He's made his stage in Hollywood. So he's heard of it, and he's persuaded I think it's Caroloco movie studio to purchase the rights on this for $3 million, including the pre-production costs. And Schwarzenegger now says he wants to star in the film, and he's going to go ahead and kind of bankroll this thing if we go ahead with it. So they wanted to do some rewrites, and he wanted to oversee all of this stuff and make sure it was going to work for him. And because of where he stood in Hollywood at the time, the studio kind of went ahead and invested in this and went for it. So Schwarzenegger himself was the one who picked Verhoeven as the director because he loved his energy, he loved his excitement, and all the rest of it. And obviously, after seeing RoboCop, it's like, this is the man. This is the guy we got to have. So yeah, it all started in April in 1989, and they went to Mexico to make it, which came with its ups and its downs. Because although it was probably a lot cheaper to make it in Mexico, everybody there had injuries and illnesses on every day of the set.
Montezuma's revenge.
Everyone got the shits from the food. Everyone got dust inhalation. There was food poisoning going around like crazy.
That's how they got the graphics with the eyes coming out.
Everyone apart from Arnie, because Arnie brought his own food and his shakes and his proteins, and he would make his own food in his own trailer. So he was the only one who went through with nothing. So he'd learned his lesson though from making Predator, because they did the same thing. They were in Mexico. He learned his lesson from getting sick in that.
I stayed at the hotel that he was at for Predator.
I remember you posting about it. Yeah, you sent us a picture about it. Yeah, how cool is that? But I think that alone to me was super interesting. That alone was like, this movie was meant to be made. It was meant to have Arnold Schwarzenegger in it at that point, right? When you go through that much turmoil, it's crazy. But we keep mentioning about how impactful and how much we enjoyed it. Like, what did you think of all the special effects? Did you think it was too over the top? Did you think it was too gory? Did you appreciate it? Like, Jamie, how was your reaction to it watching it now compared to watching it when you were younger? What did you still now think of these effects?
I mean, the effects are great all throughout the movie. And they were pretty ambitious too. Like, they didn't play it safe with effects. And like the signature kind of Paul Verhoeven style of gore was absolutely there. Like, if you watch RoboCop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers back to back, the gore and the style of it is all exactly the same. But yeah, like the alien effects and all that stuff were amazing. It's just the eyeball thing popping out. It's still just like seared into my psyche. Just, well, there's permanent damage there. But yeah, it doesn't pull any punches in terms of how graphic it is.
Steve, what about you? How did it hit home for you as far as the effects go? Watching it now.
Oh, it was great. I loved it then and loved it now. Like Jamie was saying, I think it's pretty solid all the way through. The only thing when I was watching it last night that's kind of stuck in my head a bit was some of the matte paintings, right? And it's one of these like super nitpicky things. Like if they did a special release and just cleaned them up a bit, I think it'd be awesome. But yeah, like the animatronics of the faces and everything, and the lady the 2 weeks. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that. All those.
Dude, the 2 weeks effect was awesome.
Yeah. So it's super cool. Yeah.
Rob, what about you? Did it last for you?
I don't want to be that guy.
Be the guy, man. We've already had 2 pluses.
Okay, I want to first off say I have a tremendous amount of respect for the work that there was a lot of friggin' work that went into these effects, like amazing work that went the style, the 2 week thing. Yeah, you're right. All that, the eyes popping, you can see it come out and you can see it go back in. I totally understand how much art and science went into these effects. I totally respect that, but it was just sometimes a little bit too hokey for me. Like the 2 weeks, like Arnold's face was not really Arnold's face. It was a mask, or it was some sort of whatever latex. It was
like
thing.
like a bust or like skull.
Yeah. It was a bust, and there was times they used the effects when they shouldn't have, like in Quado's, when Quado's talking, which I really dug. That Quado thing was great, but they didn't have to do the bust. I feel nowadays they wouldn't have had to do the bust of I can't remember the actor who plays the Quado's
George,
like
that powerful rebel name of George.
Yeah, like he looked dead. And he looked like a corpse, and he could have looked a little more realistic. Now that's, again, we're talking about 1990s stuff, and so that's why I don't want to shit all over it. But it did bother me a lot.
Ambitious.
It was extremely ambitious.
They took big swings in terms of the special effects in this movie.
And you're also talking about people that were fresh off of doing The Thing as well, right? So
now it makes sense to me because I hated the stuff in The Thing. Yeah, right. Gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, they dialed it in. They dialed it back, I should say.
They did. If you're talking Thing, they dialed it in.
Yeah, and they decided they didn't want to go, because that's why it's interesting you mentioned gore, because they said they didn't want to go gore. They wanted to go more kind of creepy, and that's why all the aliens they concentrated on doing all the practical effect for the alien effects. And I thought that looked really cool. You know, like this distorted alien heads, and you know, the skin peeling back was so good on the makeup.
The prosthetic of the side of the sidekick, the one with the face that came over. Ben, was it Benny?
No, Benny was the taxi driver.
The taxi driver. I'm talking the guy who was
Tony.
A lot of nerves. Tony. Nerves showing your face around here, right?
Yeah.
Like that looked really good. And the faces of the girls and the psychics, they looked twisted, especially that first guy with the eyes that were separated out. It looked really cool. Yeah. I did dig that part.
Yeah, when they kind of went for a realism more than a gore, I think.
Yes.
I think they kept it real, and especially with all the squibs they used in the shooting scenes, they didn't hold back.
Oh yeah.
Even when when Arnie was putting someone through someone's head, it was realistic. You know, you got to see it. It was pretty cool, and I think that's all down to the special effects houses, right? Because this is probably one of the last movies to go non-digitally composed, right? Composite rather. There was no digital stuff used apart from some very minor things, but mostly the X-ray. When he goes through the X-ray,
it was cool,
and
that was really well done.
And that's in the first time we're seeing CG or digital, special effects. But all the other stuff, which is nuts to me, was done on a massive, massive scale. So we've already talked about the previous RoboCop stuff, but it was Rob Bottin. I think it's Bottin. He's the guy who previously worked with.
Rob Bottin.
Bottin, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Guy. And again, he's the guy that's responsible for this. And they also work with Ron Cobb, the concept artist, who has worked on many, many other things as well. So they had these really, really talented people working on these effects, and it was one of the last times we get to see movies made with all these practical effects. And I think that's why I love it so much. They had a few studios doing it. One was Metrolight Studios, Industrial Light and Magic. They did most of the additional stuff, but DreamQuest were responsible for the majority of the film special effects. But I think the thing that blew me away more than anything when I did this is they had over 40 sets with 10 sound stages, and all of that Mars stuff was just practical models spread out and made to look like the landscape. And they were almost not going to use it. Even for that opening scene where it spans over, they were almost not going to use it. They said, we have to establish Mars. And they based it all on NASA's photos from Mars that they got at the time back in the 90s. They went to town on it, man. It was just so cool to watch. So
go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to ask, do you know if they had the production designer and was the costume designer as well? Did they work on Starship Troopers or anything? Do you know?
I didn't look too far into the costume stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking the cops or the forces that were running around with their helmets and their flak vests and stuff reminded me a lot of the Starship Trooper armor a little bit.
Yeah, I saw a couple of helmets in there that reminded me of that as well, to be fair. But when you
mentioned... Sorry, apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, I couldn't read when you were done. Sorry about that. You mentioned about sets. I was talking to Steve just before you got on air here about the architecture of the cement, the brutalist architecture. I freaking love brutalist style. And you said it was filmed in Mexico. And when I looked up the actual building, it was like, oh, this is it. It's like just so concrete and so geometric. I just love that stuff. We see a lot in Vancouver here, especially like you go up to SFU, right? So I just dug all that design.
Well, that's good old Arthur Erickson, right? SFU and the Macmillan Bloedel building downtown. That's probably the biggest one, right? Anyway.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And RoboCop, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the building in Mexico that they filmed in?
It was the historic. I looked it up. It's historic military school, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or heroic military school. At least that's what I got off the translation.
They don't teach cowards.
No, not at all.
No, the cowardly one is down the street.
Yeah, that's.
But we talked about some of these effects, how they stand out. So we usually do our quotes and our scenes and all the rest of it. But what effect do you think you could say was your favorite effect of the whole movie? What one stands out to you?
Dude, the 2 weeks effect was still awesome. Like just the effect of the lady, because like they go like seamless as far as I remember, from like the actual actress's face splitting apart in segments and coming apart, and then it's Arnold's like fake head underneath. Like just that effect. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie, and they showed that effect in the trailer, and you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like that's mind-blowing, that effect. It was awesome, and it still is. It holds up.
It's iconic.
It is. And the thing is, if you want to create that effect, you've only really got two choices. You can't use a real human actor, right? And so you've either got a practical effect or you got to go with computer graphics. And I don't think computer graphics were anywhere near the stages they could have been.
Absolutely. It would look like shit if they went.
So you just think of the talented people that they tried to figure this out in so many different ways. First of all, they had to find a woman who was larger than life that could actually represent if Arnie was inside of a costume. So first of all, they had to find a lady with the build to do it. And once they found the lady with the build to do it, then they had to try and figure out how they were going to do this reveal. And they just couldn't do it. Her head was too small compared to what it would need to be to have Arnie's massive noggin behind it. So it ended up, I think they quoted it as looking like Beetlejuice. What's his name? Bob from Beetlejuice. And so they just couldn't do it if they had to create it. It was just too much. So then they had to use the animatronic head of Arnie as well as this actuated opening like steel face, and then they had to get it to close again afterwards. And so they were using like plasticine or whatever you guys call it to mold it so it'd be seamless at the point of the seams to then come open and close again. But it weighed 70 pounds, man. Like the head was 70 pounds, and they had to lift it with like a forklift. So they had to hide all the stuff that held it so they could film it. So then you could only film it from the front. So
Richard Dreyfuss ain't lifting that shit.
Well, maybe if they used
Yeah, he doesn't
Dreyfuss,
have
they
the
could have done it
craft for it.
practically. They could have put his little head in there.
Stick him in someone.
Yeah, they wouldn't
Yeah.
need such a big thing. But yeah, 70 pounds, and again, they didn't back down. They wanted to do it. That's what they wanted to do, and they achieved it, I think.
Mhm.
And yes, it's gonna, but it didn't. I don't think Arnie's head looked any different than when we see him in Terminator. You know, when we see his fake face in Terminator when he's doing the stuff in the mirror. I don't think it looked
better than Terminator.
Right. If anything, better. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can definitely see it now because we've been spoiled with CG.
Well, it's HD, right?
Yeah.
Like it's HD. Like I
Yeah.
remember, I think I was watching a documentary on episode 1. Oh, it was the new Light and Magic stuff.
Oh yeah.
They said anytime they were talking about like set dressing, makeup, creature effects, and stuff like that, they're just like, well, we have to remember everything's in HD now, so you can't really like hide any crimes. It's all going to be on display, so it's got to be buttoned up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. We're never going to be. Look how much time they spent with Star Wars. We talk about that a lot, right? But they spent so much time touching it up and constantly, even I think to this day, still touching up the digital versions that you get on Disney Plus to making everything look seamless and getting rid of all the, the backgrounds and the composite marks that you can see on everything.
Yeah, the compositing stuff.
Yeah,
that was one thing that I noticed when watching Total Recall is like the matte paintings and the janky compositing.
Yeah, but I kind of like that. It takes me back to see the squares move with the action, and you see the squares going. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they did a great job. And just the build up to it, the 2 weeks thing. I know, Rob, you didn't have very much success in the classroom with your 2 weeks, right?
Oh yeah, I quoted that in class. Crickets. Yeah. They're like 12, 13. They're all doing 6, 7 right now. So, and you guys don't know what it is.
So for me, anytime I ask anything on a length of time, how long do you think it's going to take? How long before what's the timeline on that?
Yeah.
And every time I hear someone say 2 weeks, that scene is in my head, no matter what.
You start doing the two.
but you have to read the room, right, Jamie? If you don't read the room, you're going to start doing that, and people are going to call paramedics.
He's having a stroke.
Yeah. Quick, that old man. What's wrong with that old man?
Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be inside of him. Watch.
Yeah. So, all right. So Jamie's is 2 weeks. Steve, what about you? What was your favorite effect scene? Or favorite effect, I would say.
I think it's the bulging heads at the beginning and at the very end when what's his name, Cohort or whatever the bad guy, Cohagen, when he bites it and he's fully swelling up. And if it's interesting that you said Cronenberg was involved in this early on. I wonder if any of that sort of like carried over with his.
I did feel very Cronenberg.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but it was freaky. And you can tell they've done the same thing. They made live casts of the actors' faces and heads, but they got them to do those exaggerated faces. So you imagine, like, have you ever done a live cast?
No.
All right.
I don't know if I could.
It's not easy, man. It's very claustrophobic, and just staying still is. But if you've got to do a twisted, in fear, contorted face and then get that done, I can't. It's not like they're scanning you 3D scanners anymore.
No.
I do have a quick story to share about that. So me and Anil were in SFU around, I think it was 95, 96. And when we were in an art program together and we were trying to do some art pieces. And one of the pieces he chose to do was to cast himself in this, that cast for arms and stuff, his from head to waist. And we had to stick things out of his mouth.
His nose, yeah.
Not in his nose. I'm pretty sure, and he'll correct me on this. It was either out of his mouth or out of his nose. I'm pretty sure it was his mouth. And I had to cast him. We had to prop his hand up, and he was stuck in there for I think it was like a good couple hours or something like that. And yeah, it was. I remember he was not thrilled coming out of that thing, but I got a picture. I got to find the picture.
What did you wrap him in plastic first?
I wrapped him in plaster.
No, plastic. Did you do plastic first before plaster? Like, what did you layer his body with?
I believe it was saran wrap underneath.
Neil came out totally hairless.
Yeah.
He was like a hairless cat.
Yeah.
He was shiny and everything. Yeah, but I remember he was it was quite an experience for him. He'll probably share it next time you guys talk to him. But yeah, I remember that moment.
Yeah, but like they went full practical, man. They went to town on it. They did casts for everyone. They had all the animatronics in there. They had the bladders in there to blow everything up. It was just so cool to see the practical effects. Rob, what about you? What was your outstanding or standing out practical effect or special effect?
It was the X-ray machine, and I just love that scene. I like the ones these guys mentioned were iconic and they're more well known. But that scene was in a way semi-iconic. I mean, you see it used in The Simpsons at one point, I think, and but it was really cool to see the X-rays walk by, and the adult in me was thinking, oh, they're all getting cancer now. But but my dad used to tell me stories back when he was a kid. You go to the shoe store, they had an X-ray machine to check to see what size your feet were.
That's funny because that's what they based this on. That was the only technology they could think of, and or came to mind. That's what they based this on. Yeah. And then they had to select the color of what you would imagine it to be. So they spent a lot of time on it to do that kind of green glow. And then they didn't just do stick outlines. They had to backfill it, and they had to put the little, almost like little mini hexagons of what bone marrow would look like inside. So they added all of that depth to it and stuff. And really went into it, and they had to do a typical motion capture with it. So they had to stick the balls on the actors and get them to walk by, and then film it, and then composite it, and then do all this stuff with it. And it's really cool when you watch the behind the scenes of it. And I think one of the funniest things for me watching the behind the scenes was the dog, because they were explaining how they do this, and you see the dog walk on and across, and I shit you not, which is the choice of words, is the dog stops halfway and stops and squats, and they cut the footage and don't even mention it. No one mentions that the dog took a shit in the middle of filming, but that's the footage they use. Is them walking along and you just see the dog sniff, and then do that nudging sort of squat. Is about to take a.
I am immediately going to rewind that after
I
this
did
podcast.
not see that scene.
It's funny, man. It's funny, and if you don't find it, I'm going to find it on the one I've got, because there could be all different behind the scenes. But yeah,
look, a lot of the people who had those X-ray machines in their shoe store, they now look like some of those actors from Total Recall.
Yeah, well, their feet do anyway.
Are they psychic?
Yeah, they're psychic. They're like, I shouldn't have done this.
They're like Bo Gullet. They come out naked and they put their feet on you.
Is Rob getting excited about feet again?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, Quentin, calm down. Stop screaming about feet.
That was an excited giggle. I heard the excited giggle.
It was a drinking game. It's great.
I think you're right. Those are great. Those are great special effects. I still enjoy the pulling the probe, the tracer probe out of his nose. And again, it's so uncomfortable to watch it, and it's so cool to watch it. It's totally impractical to have a ping pong ball with a tracer inside of it. But the reason they did that was originally they got them to make a tracer, and the tracer was the silver bullet you see at the end. But they weren't happy with the way it looked on film. It was too small. It didn't have an impact. So they actually filmed all the other stuff to match what they'd already filmed with him holding it afterwards. So that scene of him holding it afterwards, they filmed before they actually did the shots with the animatronic head, because they had to make an animatronic head that could do the mouth movements and could shake, like visibly shake. That they built that into the animatronic. So as he's pulling it and he's shaking as if he was really struggling, which is cool. But the funny thing on this one is, I don't know about you guys, it's probably just me, but every time I see a caulking gun at one of the local hardware stores, all I think about is that device that he's sticking up his nose to grab. That and the pickled onion grabbers that you press the top and the little claws come out and grab the pickled onion.
Pickled onion grabber.
But that's one of my faves.
I also liked the reveal of Quado. And I like Quado. Take the guy head off the top, but Quado itself hanging off of his chest, and how he talked and the little hand and everything.
That was so freaky.
It was really freaky, and
open your mind.
And the eyes were freaky. They were just like blind eyes, undeveloped, a little bit like Bo Gullet actually. But yeah, it was
Quado, and I love to get blood too.
And then when he gets popped in the head,
yeah, they didn't hold back on any of that. How many people got shot in the head? I forgot to count this up. There was a lot of people that got shot in the head.
A lot of headshots.
But yeah, I think the reason they went with the animatronic head of George was because it just didn't look right. They couldn't get the filming right if they used the live actor with all of the stuff that was behind Kawato, right? And they had 15 people on that puppeteering this thing as they did it. So you can imagine how much went into that. I really like the fact it wasn't super shiny in the arms. Now, I don't know if I'm getting picky here, but normally you imagine they put a load of like lubricant all over these things to make it look real. But I actually appreciated it when we first see his arm come out. It's kind of matte like skin would be. I mean, the face they ended up doing a little bit more glossy and stuff, but it was freaky real, man. Freaky real.
You don't think he'd be all like sweaty under that guy's shirt the whole
I don't
time?
know. If he pulled him out of his pants, maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know. Like the dude was wearing flannel. Let's be realistic.
Yeah, and it's going to be hot in those caves, right?
Right?
Oh,
yeah, it looked all like humid and steamy and shit.
Yeah. So what did you? So let's skip to scenes. I mean, I want to talk about the movie, and the movie is made up of scenes. So let's start talking about scenes because you must have a few favorite scenes. So Rob, let's start with you. Did you have a favorite scene? Forget the practical effects now. We're moving on to scenes.
No, I know I can separate things.
Yeah,
I'm good. I did like the 3 week or 2 weeks scene. It was the tension, all that sort of stuff. Anytime Michael Ironside's on the screen, it's always really cool. And so I did dig that scene where he kind of figured out what's going on, and she's freaking out. That actress was so good, and just moving her, and just that final thing is it get ready for a surprise or something like that?
Yeah.
Get ready for a surprise, and it was just really cool. I like that.
I like the way that Ironside's walking away, listening to the guy. And you can see him turning and figuring it and turning and then figuring it and then finally going, Quaid. That was cool.
Yeah, he's like subconsciously registering that something is wrong.
Yeah, the hatred he had for that man was so good for the whole movie.
So
Steve, what about you?
Sorry. Okay. Well, I was going to just ask, do you think that actress is going to cons?
She should be.
A 2 weeks lady?
Yeah.
Right
alongside 3 boob lady.
Which again, none of you picked as your favorite prop. Steve, favorite scene? 3 boob lady.
Yeah, we already named a whole bunch already. Yeah, I was gonna say the X-ray. I was as a kid, I remember watching that and just thinking like, that's so cool how they did that. But going to I think it's the first chase scene with Quaid and his Richter and his Goonies trying to get him, and they shoot all those people on the escalator.
Yeah,
and then Quaid just used that one guy as a meat shield multiple times.
Yeah, that was crazy.
There was no mercy in this movie.
No. Everyone was getting tagged, man. Everyone was getting tagged. But the way he's just holding him, where have I've seen that somewhere before, and I was trying to remember where I've seen that before, where they just use someone as a body for a shield, and I can't remember what movie it was in.
Probably
I don't know if you guys. Wow, he used it as a weapon, not so much as a shield.
Nice pool.
Yeah,
nice pool. Yeah.
Oh, nice pool. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, nice pool was a huge shield.
But I think the funniest thing at the end of that scene, though, apart from you see the stunt actor who's getting shot sort of bend his legs and jump onto everyone at the end, and you can see his legs bend into it, which was kind of funny. But it was the final disrespect of the guy running over him and then putting his foot on his chest, and all you can hear is as he steps on him. Like they put the sound effect into him just as the final disrespect. Jamie, did we do you? I'm getting too excited. No, let's go to you for a scene of your pleasure.
God, so many, so
many. Right? That's why I want to keep going.
You know what? I love the the movie's super bloodthirsty and all the action scenes are awesome and just super brutal. But I love the tension of the fake recall doctor showing up on Mars, trying to convince him that he's still in a chair at recall.
So good.
And Quaid is trying to rationalize, no bullshit. I dreamt about Mars before I went to recall, and it's just that back and forth. And finally, he sees just a single bead of sweat and decides that's enough just to shoot him in the face.
Yep. Yeah. It was classic.
Headshot. Another headshot.
Headshot.
That one,
Headshot.
I think because of HD, unfortunately, that one was one of the scenes where I could see the little like tube poking out. It was great makeup, but yeah, just the curse of old movies in HD now.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I just love like Sharon Stone being there, trying and like in on the thing, and then just the turn when they start fighting again. It's great. I love that scene.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, I don't know if this is
awesome
the ultimate segue into favorite character, but I mean, there was a lot of great characters played by a lot of great choices in casting. Let's do it, man. Let's talk about favorite character.
Oh, we haven't done Rob.
Well, we did. I just wanted to mention another scene. That's all.
Oh yeah, no. If you got more scenes, let's do that. Let's go around more scenes. Let's do it.
Yeah, because there's this one scene that I laugh at every time.
Is it 3 boobs?
Pardon me?
3 boobs?
No, not that. It's the hologram scene where it's like the 2 and 1. So they're the final fight at the end, right? And so there's the hologram in there, and he walks out for the first time. And so what the soldiers do, they surround the hologram.
Yeah, 360-degree field of fire.
They shoot away. Not a single person is shot dead. It's like I'm shooting at you, you shooting at me, but and the holograms like gets the better of them all, sort of stuff. And I sit there and like, they missed completely everybody. And then later down the road he fakes the hologram, and it's a little cheesy, but I kind of dig it.
That's vintage Arnold.
Well,
yeah.
And then there's also when he gave her the
Melina. Yeah, Melina takes it.
Yeah.
Then they shoot each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The two guys.
So they actually do get to use it for that purpose. But
they were the best.
You're right. I mean, this going back to the delivery of, you thought this was the real Quaid. It is.
It is.
Yeah, I love his commitment to dicking around in a super like crucial and like time sensitive situation. He's like, nah, I'm gonna fuck with these guys a little bit too. It'll be funny. Watch this.
It was a modern version of Enter the Dragon.
But it wasn't a typical Arnie quip movie, if you ask me. There was a couple. There was a couple of lines, but it wasn't.
Consider this a divorce is legendary.
Well, they were supposed to do that the other way around, but it was taken it was like too bad. We can't do that. So they flipped it. So he was supposed to say, consider this a divorce, and shoot her in the head, another headshot. But they decided that was a little bit too much. So they flipped it, shoots her in the head and says, consider that a divorce. So they just flipped it a little bit. Instead of this, it was that.
We got See You at the Party, Richter. He didn't say anything about disarming him or being unarmed.
I know.
So
I was blown away. This was like the most obvious Arnie.
Which is
what I'm give you a hand.
Thanks for the hand.
I ground on that, and I appreciate it. Just see you at the party. Just here's your arms back, asshole. Yeah.
But you know where that came from, though, right? See you at the party.
What do you mean?
Well, where it was connected to that final scene before he gets mind wiped.
They're going to a party.
Yeah, because he says it to him earlier on. Yeah. Okay. I didn't, because I honestly, the reason I say that is because I didn't clock that until I've rewatched it a few times. I was like, why does he say "see you at the party"? That doesn't make any sense. That's not funny.
No, that's great.
And then I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get you.
I liked Melina had a funny, not necessarily a one-liner, but a funny scene too. Like when they were being forcibly mind wiped, and she was being mind wiped to be like the dutiful, just submissive girl. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Melina, is it still you? Is it still you? And she's like, I don't know. What do you think? Like,
it's like, what do you think, honey, or something? Something like that.
That's good.
I liked the scenes in the bar, the gunfight in the bar. That was great. I mean, we do get to see the demise of the lady with all the boobs, but it was still a great scene. I love the little lady who gets up on the bar and just starts mowing everyone down.
Melina with the biggest gun in the group.
Yeah,
and when she stabbed that guy too.
Yeah. Oh my god, she like jousted him. She just like runs at him.
That was cool.
She kills probably the nerdiest henchman in any movie.
He was really nerdy.
Didn't
Like
you
that
stab
guy
him,
was
like right in the balls too?
yeah, that guy should be like doing my taxes, not like
Dude, he had a great line though.
It's probably the one I've got written down for my quote.
Okay,
Let's save it for quotes.
Said enough.
Let's save it. Yeah,
yeah.
let's save
Nope,
let's
never
save it
mind.
for quotes and concentrate.
Yep.
I do like the scene of him going for his first visit to Recall. I like that whole bit where they sit him down and persuade him to do it, because it really creates everything in your head, and it gives you all this fodder for hopefully the discussion that we can have at the end here about what we all think. But that whole bit where he flips and starts like trying to go crazy, and they're all going, "Yeah, you stupid bitch!" You know, he's just reliving them. I haven't given him the memories. I love that bit there where it all goes down, which is so good.
Dude,
so greasy.
one of my other. Sorry, Jamie, go on.
No, go ahead.
I said one of my other favorite scenes was when he's all paranoid. He runs back to the apartment, and he's like trying to explain to Sharon Stone. She's like, no, and then she flips, and then that whole fight scene.
Yeah,
right?
That was awesome.
And then at the end of it, where she's like, yeah, and they sort of both sit down, and she's like, you tie me up or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And that sort of.
I like how friendly that discussion became.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She's beaten, and she's like, "Well, you're just a job, is just work, nothing personal." And she's like, "Well, you were the best job." Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, yeah." They became very friendly again, like in a more professional capacity.
Yeah.
The end.
It was pretty funny.
She was good, man. She was good in this whole movie. I enjoyed it.
She's great.
She was good, and that got her the role in Basic Instinct, basically. So, she did
awesome.
good. He was super impressed with all of her stuff. He had nothing but good things to say about her and her dedication to her role. He called her the female Terminator because of the way she just went headfirst into all the stunts. She actually got inducted into the Stunt Women's Association as an honorary member for making that.
That's cool.
Because she just went full on.
Awesome.
She said, when I left the set, I looked like a Dalmatian, like from head to toe. I was just covered in bruises because she says, I don't know if you know this, but when you throw a punch and it gets stopped by Arnold Schwarzenegger's arm, that ain't a small thing. It's like hitting a brick wall. So yeah, she did good, and I just found her really quite believable in the role she played. It was a good role.
Well,
does anyone got other
my
scenes?
favorite role of hers.
I get a bit of a tangent from that to Sharon Stone. I was listening to another podcast this afternoon about Basic Instinct, and the opening scene where they're having lovely intercourse, and then she like stabs the guy in the neck. Apparently she was going so hard with this prop ice pick that she actually knocked the guy out.
Oh really?
Oh my goodness.
Like that's how committed like she was to this whole like crazy murder thing happening. So
Dude, that's method.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to kill a guy.
Yeah.
Are we still doing scenes?
Yes, man. Let's go through all of them. I want all of them. Let's do the whole movie.
My other favorite scene. It's another one where it's not even action. It's just tension. It's at the turn, like the twist when Cohagen reveals that Quaid or that Hauser is the real guy, and this was all a setup just to get him to Quado, to expose him and lead them to him. That was so good because it makes sense. Like if Quaid was just like, he flipped and he went rebel, why didn't they just kill him? Why did they go to the headache of wiping his mind and setting him up with a fake identity and a wife and all this? Yeah, that was awesome. Just that reveal was just so good.
The writing, right? The writing of it. And looking at how long, that's why I wanted to mention it in the beginning, looking at how long they worked on the writing, how long they worked on it to make it work. It makes sense, right? It just makes sense.
Like what a crazy scheme, like the commitment for a guy like Hauser to be like, wipe my mind, you're basically just erasing me. And just implanting someone else in my body, and then he's
going undercover in the most realist way possible. Like he doesn't even know he's undercover. Like that's
such a good how do you go undercover against psychics?
Yeah.
And somehow talked Ironside to sleep with his wife or girlfriend at the same time. Somehow they worked that out. So.
Yeah. Well, I assume we're going to favorite lines pretty quick.
I do have one last thing.
Go ahead.
I do have one last thing. That scene where he breaks, they're they pinned him down and are going to remove both their brains or their memories. And he breaks out, and he's still got that piece on with that big giant
threaded rod. Yeah,
and just nails him in the side of the head.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
That whole scene of where they escape, they did not hold back. What did they have? They had the threaded rod skewered to the face,
fireman's
fire axe to the stomach.
Oh yeah.
The stand for something through the guy's head.
Through his hand.
Yes.
They did not hold back, man.
I love that the nerdy lab tech went for the fire axe. He's like, I'm a chop this guy.
This will slow him down. Nope.
Yeah.
My face. Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal, man.
So good.
Brutal.
Love it.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's move on to let's get it all out of the way now before we get into character for our favorite character. Because you know what? Funnily enough, as soon as we started gasbagging about this movie, we go on in time. So let's move on to quotes. Let's get through the quotes. Jamie, you've been itching to do it. Let's get that quote.
I feel like I need to leave it for you though.
No.
Because you
I want everyone out there to know how much you enjoyed this.
I mean, so that was such a funny thing because there's a reveal that Michael Ironside and Richter and what's his wife's name? Sorry, I can't remember. She's Sharon Stone. Yeah, Richter and Sharon Stone are a couple. Laurie. So Richter and Laurie are a couple, and Laurie is undercover with Quaid. And it's very clear that they have been intimate. And the nerdy henchman guy kind of brings it up. Like, no wonder you're angry. Like, I don't know how I'd feel if I had Quaid porking my wife. And I can't remember what Richter says.
He says, you think she enjoyed it?
Yeah, you saying she enjoys it? He's like, oh no, I'm sure she hated every minute of it. Like, Richter is like half step away from being unhinged and just speed murdering everyone in the immediate vicinity. So like for his like henchman guy to say something like that with a smirk on his face, and then he just gets in the same car that Richter's in, like that was hilarious.
It was good. It was good.
Richter was unhinged everywhere. He was shooting. He was blaring that gun everywhere.
So violent. Yeah.
And shoots 3 boobs in the back.
Right in the back.
Yeah.
No warning.
He just lost his wife. So to flash a triplet of boobs in his face is probably just a little bit. He knows he's not getting any for a while, right? So back to quotes. Let's go Rob.
I like your quote. That was pretty good. I didn't find a lot of quotes. Just these typical Arnold stuff. The 3 weeks has always been like the quote from this movie for me.
2 weeks.
I keep saying 3 weeks. Why?
Three on the brain, Rob. Why would you have 3 on the brain? I can't think why you'd have 3 on the brain.
2 weeks. Yeah, that's my quote. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah. Steve, give us a quote. So give us something other than 3 weeks.
This is kind of a stupid one, but at the beginning when he's jackhammering rocks with his buddy Harry, and he's talking about, I might go to Recall, and then Harry like sings in that sort of like New York Recall.
Yeah.
Even close.
Like howl every time I hear it. And then we'll just say this other one was when Sharon Stone was like, "Oh, you can tie me up for good times, old time's sake or whatever." And then Quaid clocks the monitor where she's just like stalling him, and he says, "Not
Clever
Jurassic
girl.
Park, clever girl,
Yeah.
Clever good.
Total Recall did it first.
That's right.
Yeah. Jurassic Park copied it.
Take that, Spielberg."
Yeah, I don't really have a whole list of them. That was the one, Jamie, that I wrote down. That was the one that got me cracked up.
So
the one I can remember.
Yeah.
I do like, you wouldn't kill me, would you? After everything we've been through, I'm your wife. And then they consider that a divorce. That was just a great quote. But I don't really. Does anyone have any more?
Yes, absolutely. It's another dirty one. When Melina sees Quaid for the first time, and she immediately grabs his crotch
Yeah.
and asks, "What have you been feeding this thing?" And without skipping a beat, he says, "Blondes."
Blondes.
Like it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner. It was great.
That made me remember another one, which is when Tony goes up to him and says, "You got a nerve showing your face around here." And he just walks up and goes, "Look who's talking." But yeah.
That was I forgot that one. That was so good. Yeah.
And Tony was played by
Dean Norris.
Dean Norris is right.
Who's Dean Norris?
Well, he's in Starship Troopers.
Yeah. He's the commandant of the training school, like boot camp.
But where he's probably
right.
but where he's probably most famous is for Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Where he played the brother-in-law who's the FBI or whatever agent.
Verhoeven is also one of those guys that has a few favorite actors, like Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they work, why not work with them?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, you know their work ethic, right? Like, you know they're going to give you what you need.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that you used again and again, and for good reason, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Jamie, you sound like you had even more.
I mean, so many. I mean, we also missed a classic Arnold one-liner. We say there wasn't a lot, but now that it's like the Glove Shadow conversation, I just keep thinking of more. Yeah. It's Benny in the drilling machine.
Yes. Yeah.
Benny, oh my God.
Screw you. And he's
screw you.
Yeah. And he takes a drill to the side of the machine and
that's
gets
right.
him.
I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah. And Benny was pretty funny too. He had some pretty funny lines. I won't repeat some of them because they're a little crass, but he had some good stuff.
Well, when he gets busted finally at the end, he pulls a Rob and says, "Oh, I got 4 kids." Yeah,
he's like, "What happened to the 5th?" He's like, "You got me. I'm not married." Nah.
I'm not even married.
Yeah.
But his reveal was pretty intense of his creepy.
I like the arm effect was good. Yeah, that was really good.
And the way the hand was still twitching and moving.
The little robot hand or whatever.
Yeah. It was cool. It's so I kind of makes me want to go and watch it again. But this brings me to I've got a couple other little things. We were talking about a 3-breasted woman. Originally, did you know they were supposed to have 4 breasts?
I was gonna joke 4.
An extra?
Yeah, they were gonna. So originally,
too many.
Originally, they were going to have 4 boobs, but they actually put it out there for audience research, which came back.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So they put it out for audience research, and it came back saying it was way too reminiscent of a dairy cow and was not sexy in the slightest. And it was Schwarzenegger that came up with it.
Did they only focus test that in the Midwest?
I don't know. It doesn't say where. It doesn't say
Jamie
where.
sounds angry about this.
Yeah.
Why was I left out of
in
this?
Green Bay?
But let me paint you a picture. Let me paint you a picture, Jamie.
Well.
Let's not just assume. So Schwarzenegger was the one who suggested the 4 breasts, with 2 larger ones over 2 smaller ones. Based on a medical
he's got criteria, he's
based on
painting you a mind picture.
He based it on medical pictures that he'd seen. Where do you see these medical pictures of 2 big boobs over 2 small boobs? But it was thought it was too realistic, too weird, so it better suited the film star to have 3. So they thought about this a lot.
He's flipping through a veterinary journal one day.
Yeah,
he's like, "I got it."
Yeah.
Right? Is that it just stuck with him? He's like, one day I'm gonna be making a movie and I'm gonna take my shot. I'm gonna get that in a movie.
Dude, when you're Arnold Schwarzenegger and you want 4 boobs, you can get 4 boobs, right? You can. You say, "Hey, I want 4 boobs, 2 big ones over 2 small ones," and they say, "Okay, Arnie, but the rest of the world says that looks too much like a cow." Okay, let's go with 3.
Dial it back, my friend.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger's just like, "You fucking hicks."
Yeah, but another fact I read up on was the fact the lady who played that prostitute, I guess who she is with the 3 boobs, she was actually made to feel really uncomfortable because she wasn't even naked on set, but she just felt really uncomfortable, and it brought her to the point that she, they had to kind of talk to her about it because it was making her feel really uncomfortable wearing those 3 boobs and exposing herself, which I didn't get at all by watching the movie.
No.
Seemed to be an element. But apparently, it was something that even having those fake ones made her feel uncomfortable on set, which is kind of interesting.
We've probably got a lot of glares and stuff from the crew.
And everyone was feeling her up, right? Even in the acting part of it, they're all coming up and feeling her up. But
does it feel real? Let me try.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
you got to imagine, like, filmmaking in the 80s is probably not the most progressive in terms of respecting how someone is feeling going into a scene, especially if it's of a sensitive nature like that.
Whereas if it is some dude strapping them on, he'd probably going, feel my boobs. But I don't know. Let's go on to this one because we are getting past some time here. So let's just we've done our scenes, we've done our quotes, we've done our props. Let's go to favorite. What's your favorite outstanding character? Who was the character that did it all for you? Jamie.
I dug it.
Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Me?
Yeah.
I liked Richter mostly because I like Michael Ironside. He's awesome. He's just he's frightening. He looks like a dad, but he's frightening.
Yeah, he looks like
he's not like physically imposing. Like it's like Clarence Boddicker in RoboCop. He is not a frightening looking dude, but in that movie, he is terrifying. It's the same thing. It's the same style of bad guy, and that immediately reminded me of Boddicker in RoboCop. Yeah. And it's Michael Ironside. He's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie Cox was in RoboCop, right?
He was. He was
playing the same kind of
Dick Jones.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's basically the same character.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, Rob. Sorry to cut you off earlier. What was who's your favorite character?
It was the same. Yeah, I totally agree. Ironside was really good in this. Something about him was pretty cool. I did like his sidekick though, the nerdy guy. It was funny. You talked about nerdy. Was it sidekicks? But the one from Terminator, not Terminator 2. Sorry, I think it's Die Hard. Was that that one tech guy from Die Hard? Was he?
Oh,
he was
the guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Busting. Is it because they're wearing? Is it only because they're wearing glasses you think they're nerdy? Is that what it is?
No. Well, that's the trope that they put them in, right? I for some reason I thought this guy was wearing a sweater out throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. But, I would like to call out for people listening. I am currently the only person not wearing glasses in this crew of 4.
Nerd.
Because you're the youngest of the 4.
It's because you're yeah. Anyway, let's move on, Steve.
Character. Well, definitely Richter, without saying Johnny Cab.
Oh yeah, I have a fun fact.
Didn't even mention Johnny Cab.
Other than that, I would Sharon Stone's character, which I can't remember her name.
Laurie.
And Benny.
So you've got 3. You got 3. You got 3 favorite characters. Okay.
Yep. Gonna spoil them all.
Nice. Yeah, mine was.
Fun fact about Johnny Cab.
Who is?
Do you know who that was? Yeah, Robert Picardo.
Yeah,
really?
It was his voice they used and his likeness, but they had to distort his likeness.
Yeah. So there's two classic Star Trek actors in this. One of them is Robert Picardo, and the other one was Mark Alimo, who is the I think his name was Everett. He's the soldier guy that is escorting Michael Ironside to go see Cohagen,
the captain,
when in the 2 week scene.
Yeah.
Mark Alimo plays Gul Dukat in Deep Space Nine, the Cardassian bad guy.
I dug him too because he was willing to talk to Ironside and he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't taking a shit for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and another Star Trek one is the fake doctor. He was in a couple early Next Gen ones. You know the one where they played that game that goes into discs into your eyeballs?
Oh yeah.
He was the guy selling those.
Oh no way!
I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Internet. Correct me if I'm
wrong. Rob, did we do you? Oh yeah, we did you. So
it's
just me. It's just me. So yeah, I'm going with Laurie. I really dig Sharon Stone's character all the way through it. She's solid all the way through it. So that'd be mine.
It was nice to see a leading lady in this movie. Not Laurie. I'm talking about Melina. Melina's character.
Tickerton.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger typically, when he had a female female lead in his movies. Sorry, a female lead in his movies. They were typically kind of bland. She had spunk. She was fierce. She had a personality, which
She reminded me of the leading lady from Running Man.
Yeah, but Running Man,
that same kind of vibe.
It was the same type. It was the same type of vibe, but I didn't feel that the Running Man had a lot of character as much as Rachel Tickerton did.
Yeah.
So I just felt this one was a lot more badass, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, they had two badass ladies.
Yeah, they did. Definitely.
She did something else as well with him, or at least with what else did she do? She wasn't in RoboCop, was she?
I'm just.
Or was she in
right
Predator?
now.
Was she? No, where? What was
she? Was in Con Air. One Good Cop.
Con Air, that was it.
Oh
Con
yeah,
Air.
yeah. She was the guard in Con Air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew. Yeah, that's right. Another action movie.
That movie's on my list. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so just to end this one, we all know our 1990 Total Recall, but we also know that there was a 2012 Total Recall, which wasn't.
I'm happy you asked about this.
Which wasn't terrible, to be fair, but it's not one that I would go out and watch all the time. But I didn't know whether or not you guys knew that they'd already there'd been a battle to do a sequel because it was so popular, because it was so successful. It was going to have a sequel, guaranteed, right? That was the thing. They were going to have a sequel. And the sequel was basically going to be Minority Report, but on Mars. So the whole premise of Minority Report, the whole story of Minority Report was actually going to be the sequel to Total Recall. But in the end, they just took out all the Mars stuff and just made it now as what we know it as with Tom Cruise. But it was going to be Quaid getting some mutants that can see the future to predict crime. And that was going to be the premise for Total Recall 2. So I didn't know if you knew that. So several studios brought the rights to the sequel. But then Columbia finally got the hold of the rights in 2012, I guess it was, wasn't it? And then they did Total Recall that we saw with what's his nuts
with Colin Farrell.
Colin
I was going to
Farrell,
ask if you guys had seen the remake.
I have, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got Colin Farrell and Kate Beckinsale in it. It's all set on Earth. It's the same story, but it's all set on Earth. There's no Mars.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I cannot tell you a single thing from that movie.
I like that one. The cast in that one was pretty good too.
I thought it took itself way too seriously.
It was definitely like more of a serious story. I actually liked it visually. I liked it, and it was different enough story wise that it felt like they weren't just trying to remake it. Like it felt like it was its own thing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they kind of flipped the script a little bit. They had her, hunting him down and not stopping hunting him down. They didn't need a big butch man to come in. The woman was doing the hunting and sticking with it.
Yeah, basically the Laurie, like they merged the Laurie character and the Richter character.
Yeah.
Laurie was hunted, and she was awesome.
I know I've watched this, but this is all new to me. I can't remember anything.
Well, they had God. Speaking of Breaking Bad,
Cranston.
Yeah, they had Bryan Cranston was Cohagen.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it might be worth a watch. We won't be reviewing it because obviously it's 2012, but it might be worth a watch just to see what you think. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one multiple times. It's good.
Yeah. It's like the remake of RoboCop. Like some people hate it, but you can watch it. You can watch it. All right, so we've done the norm. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion though on what do you think? Do you think this stuff happened to Quaid and it was actually played out in real time for him? Or do you think he was just sat in that chair and ended up lobotomized, living out this fantasy that he created?
You think it was all just an implanted memory?
Well, there are two ways that you can take this movie. And I think Verhoeven, he said, I keep calling him Verhoeven. Why do I keep calling him Verhoeven? He's even said that you can interpret it whichever way you want because it works both ways. But what do you think from the evidence that you've seen from watching the movie? What do you think? Do you think he lived it out and it all happened? Or do you think he's stuck in the chair living the dream that he asked for before he went under?
I think you're giving it way too much credit. It was not a dream. It was real. It's what it was. So
okay, Steve.
I don't know if it's too much credit, but I I like to think that it was real just because from when I was a kid watching it, and I would never have picked up on the meta levelness of that whole thing. So in my brain, my head canon, it was real.
Jamie?
I've never thought about it before, but I kind of like the idea that it was an implanted memory just because it was basically scripted as it was laid out by the salesman in Recall, right down to Melina. The only thing that I don't really like about that theory that's kind of fucked up is that his real wife, he murders her in his memory.
But this is all, this is all part of the story, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like the story that he lives out is something that's in his brain and he's just a gibbering lobotomized. That's the whole point of it, is when we see him go in, which is why that scene's really interesting, because they talk about secret agent, right? They talk about artifacts, alien artifacts that they found. The picture you see is the processing plant coming down. He picks the woman, and before he falls asleep, they show a picture of Melina on the screen. But I will counter that with he had a dream the night before of exactly the same woman too, right? So, but the dream that he dreams about having his eyes sucked out by the pressure. So why would you dream that unless it's something you're dreaming about, in which case that's why it ended up that way. But now he saves, because they say you're going to go to Mars, you're going to fight the bad guys, you're going to kill them all, and you're going to save the planet. Not save the day, but save the planet. So in the end, that's what happens. And then at the end, it fades to white, just gone. So now his story is complete. I'm not saying that they did come in and try and rescue him and he shouldn't have shot him, but maybe the whole thing was played out in there.
No, I get that. But that's it. You think of the actual practicality of doing such a thing. If you allow the person to kill their wife or their loved ones, that's a dangerous world you drop into. And I just don't think they would, A, allow it to happen as a company, and B, just think that far ahead in this movie.
But maybe Laurie is part of the fabricated memory, right? Like, who knows? Like,
Very
maybe
true.
it doesn't actually
Very
exist.
Because the other thing as well is, if you listen to that speech by the doctor when he comes in, he says that right now you have a choice. You're going to take this pill and it's going to put you back into reality. You're doing something which I'm telling you is going to bring you out. If you don't, you can kill me. It's going to make no odds to me. But in your mind, the world's going to go to shit. The walls are going to come tearing down around you, and you're going to be leading this charge. We can't control it anymore. So that's why he's killed his wife, because at this point they got no control over it. He started freaking out before, and his mind is now just being controlled by him and steered by him. So it's interesting to me because I don't know which way or the other. It's interesting, but the way it fades to white at the end leads you to see that could just be him drifting off into his nothingness.
I didn't notice that it fades to white and not black. That's interesting. It's a fun theory. I like it.
You could also like I remember when I first saw this movie, and the first few times, the bead of sweat, I was like, why is that a giveaway? And I was like, yeah, it's obvious, because if he was sweating, he's nervous. Why would he be nervous? But a part of me is like, well, if this is all in his head, maybe he's imagining him to be nervous. And I was just like, then I would go down this weird road in my head, and I'm just like, no, just stick with, don't complicate it. Just make it simple. He got nervous. He called his bluff. So
yeah. See, I've always thought about that too, Rob. And to me, it's like, okay, was it a giveaway because it was hot in that room? And if he wasn't in that room, he wouldn't necessarily be hot.
Very true.
Right? If he was an if he's an air conditioned office somewhere, then why is he sweating? Right. Again, why would you be sweating if you're not actually there and got a gun pointed to your head is another thing. So yeah, to me, it's a really interesting fan theory and a really good conversational point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I don't know which way it goes, but there is definitely two ways. You're gonna have to watch it again now, people, and you're gonna have to make up your own mind with all the juicy tidbits we've given you. All right, let's give this thing some numbers. So
all right, there we go.
Yeah, let's start with Jamie.
I'm thinking 8 boobs out of 10.
So it's a lot of That's a lot of boobs.
It's more than a dairy cow. That's like 2 dairy cows worth of rating.
Yeah, that's a big boar gullet, Jamie.
Yeah. No, this is easily one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. It's right up there with Predator. I mean, he's made a lot of really good movies, like action movies, but yeah, this is one of my favorites for sure. And it's really solid and it holds up pretty well.
It does. Steve.
I was going to give it 8.5 Quados out of 10.
And a half?
And a half.
What does that look like?
I mean, it's already a half a Quado, so
Yeah.
half of that.
Yeah.
But same thing. I enjoy this story. It's fun. It ages all right. I don't think it's, and it's one of these ones I can watch over and over again. Doesn't matter what time of day it's on or whatever. So,
Rob, over to you.
7 boobs and half a Quado. So 7.5.
That's pretty
7.25.
Good point. So 7.5. I'll take that.
And I think I'm gonna top it. I think I'm gonna go a little bit further than Steve and give it a 9. And the only reason I'm gonna give it a 9 is because I do think it's a classic. I do think the special effects and the way that they did it and the way that they did it so well will make it better for me. That's why it gets that half a point better, because there's other things out there which are probably better movies, but this thing is a classic and this thing holds its own. And because of that, I would watch it anytime. I will buy it on a special edition with all the behind the scenes, and I would get it and spend the money on a Blu-ray, right? I want this in my collection. I want to be able to watch it when I want to watch it in the original form it was made. It's really just knowing how they made it and how much they put into it that makes me want to give it a 9. So that's what she's going to get.
Awesome. All right. So that's an average of 8.25, 8.25. 8.25 boob.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome. I really enjoyed this one. It's always like interesting to go back and watch movies and not love the ones that you once loved, but this one worked, man. This one's like the Fifth Element. This one just works for me. It's just, I wouldn't say it's up there with. I don't think it would surpass T2, but it definitely is up there, right? It's a great movie.
My turn for movies.
It's Rob's turn next. So. Yes. And again, I just want to say, I didn't just pick this because I knew it was going to be a winner. I picked this one because we mentioned the fact we hadn't done it. So I was going to quash that right there and then and get it done. So I'm not looking for the perfect win. I'm just glad we got to do it. So, Rob, with that being said, what is...
Boy, am I going to disappoint you with the next movie.
What is your choice for our next boom?
I was really stuck. And like you guys talked about Air America. I was this close to choosing that one. I'm not picking that one.
Con Air?
Con Air, sorry.
Oh,
Con Air.
Right. Yeah,
that was Air America and Con Air. I was
Air Force One.
On my list.
Air Force One.
No, God, no. I'm gonna pick. Oh God. Okay. The 1995 movie starring Angelina Jolie and that's all I can think of at the top of my head. Hackers.
Oh no!
The planet.
Have we not done Hackers?
We have definitely. I want to do this movie ever since I started the podcast.
Dude, Penn Jillette, Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, Johnny Lee Miller,
Lee Miller,
serial killer, Fisher Stevens. This, if you know technology, this is gonna annoy the shit out of you.
Oh yeah.
This is so bad it's good. I love this. The music's awesome. So I want to do this movie for like the longest time.
Done.
Done deal. Hackers. I own this movie. So
classic.
So have you guys seen this one?
I've seen it, but could I tell you about it from start to finish? No. So yeah, I need to watch it again.
How about you, Jamie? Have you seen this movie?
Yeah. A lot, dozens.
Really? Dozens of times. Wow, I'm a little surprised about that.
When this movie came out, it was pretty huge with me and my friends. Yeah, we watched it just mostly because of like how cheesy it was. Like, dude,
and Angelina Jolie
back then, and Angelina Jolie, 100%. Yeah, you're not
introduction
wrong
to Angelina Jolie. And I don't know if Hosnos has seen Hackers.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. So there we go.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I gotta write this down.
Yeah. Just remember, it's 2 weeks and 3 boobs.
Do you think we're always going to have to do this now when we say we'll talk about this in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I like it.
I was actually going to do a YouTube short about memes related to dates, like 2 weeks. When I say 1 week, what do you guys think of?
1 week?
Yeah.
Bare
It's
naked
been
ladies.
1
Yep.
week. Yep, exactly. Tomorrow, what do you guys think about?
Annie.
Silverchair song.
Annie. Yes. So
Oh.
there's always these little memes when it comes to dates and times. So anyways, I thought I'm still working on it in my head. Sorry, Steve.
No problem, man. No problem. With that being said, Rob, where can we find you?
Outer Rim Rookie on our YouTube channel. Just put up a couple weeks ago the 3-part series on Walt's Trooper Factory armor, and now I'm going to get started once summer starts kicking in. I'm going to get started on building that AT-AT driver armor. I'm super excited about this,
Cool.
as well as I have a couple other costume videos to put down the road, and I'm trying to work on a video about swear words in the Star Wars universe. And I'm looking forward to. I've been doing a bit of research on this one. There's so many, and we're not talking typical F words and S words, although there's the odd one or two in there. But like in universe swear words, I'm looking forward to that. Poodoo's on the list, sir. Yes, definitely. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Sweet. Steve, where can we find you?
On the gram, as the kids say, Hose Nose Paints for all your mediocre D&D minifigures.
It
I
says
did
right
paint
there.
some the other day. I haven't posted it yet, but you can.
For those that are listening in, Steve
Oh.
is showing us one of his models.
It's like
The
a Hydra goose.
Cobra chicken.
Yeah.
Cobra chicken. Yes.
Yeah, and that's about it.
Okay. Jamie, what about you? Where can we find you these days?
You can still find me on the Generation X-Wing podcast YouTube channel and the ongoing series Ready to Believe, where we're still talking all things Ghostbusters. Yeah, and I swear we'll get some more content out soon.
Sweet.
Ghostbusters
And
Day is coming up, so we'll have to do
Ghostbusters Day is
something for that.
coming up.
Yeah,
Is
it
it
was
2 weeks
mentioned on
from
the
now?
live stream last week.
And you can find me on Instagram as well. You can find me under Shitspeckled Muppet Fart for adventures and fun and anything costuming. And you can also find me on Steve3D, where I unveil toy. I was going to say what's inside my balls, but lately, I don't think I should say that. But I'm starting to. This is crazy. I'm starting to finally unpack from Japan, which was weeks ago. I've still got a suitcase full of shit that I bought, and it's cool as hell. And I'm going to start getting it out and showing it off because some of this stuff you don't find. So yeah, keep tuned on to that. And you can obviously listen to the Gen X podcast anywhere you can get podcasts, and check out the Generation X Wing on Instagram and Facebook for all of the shenanigans that do develop.
Yeah. Like
Don't
and
forget to buy
subscribe to the
t-shirt
channel.
too.
Yeah. Oh, t-shirt. Hey, Jamie, what t-shirt you wearing today?
Oh, I am wearing the Pale Rider. I got it in hoodie form. So it says Pale Rider and Arabesh, and it's got a little Obi-Wan lightsaber. Oh, look at that. We're twinsies.
Oh,
Look at that. I'm wearing the same shirt.
One of us
That's
is going to have to
cute.
go home and change, Rob.
All right. I'll go.
Thanks, guys, and thanks everyone for listening. And we shall
2 weeks.
be right back doing it all again in when, everybody?
2
weeks. I'm going to hurt
Actually,
my
just
face
one.
stretching it weird ways.
It's in 1 week.
Bye bye.
Bye.
It's been 1 week.